Okay, good morning, folks. Today's Tuesday, the 28th of Teves, January 9th. We are continuing in chapter 14 of Tanya. Charlie, ready? Ready. Let's go. Page 71 in the Chayenu. In today's lesson, although transformation of the negative character traits versus continuously fighting against them is unique to the tzaddik, not the Beinoni. Nonetheless, even Beinonim should endeavor to achieve this status. So we might not get to a point where we don't have to fight every single day, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. And rather than being drawn into it and merely resisting, for to some degree, it's possible to achieve some level. Just like some things, you get used to certain things. So you get comfortable in that fight, and the Yetzer Hara, you wear them down after a while. Even if you cannot completely eliminate the negative character traits. Now we understand why this oath that a Jew has to take before birth has to be repeated. Be a tzaddik, and don't be a rasha, as quoted from the Talmud in the opening of the Tanya. At first glance, it seems like, why do we have to say it twice? Say it once. Torah doesn't waste its words. If he says to be a tzaddik, good, we got the point. We have the picture. We know what to do. Right, Yitzchak? We know what to do. Why does it also have to say, don't be a rasha? Okay, we already learned. Not everybody's going to be a tzaddik. Fine, we got that. Not everyone, nor has a person the full advantage of choice in this matter. To have complete and utter delight in Hashem. And okay, we may enjoy certain aspects, we may have a certain level of joy, but not the joy that a tzaddik experiences, and certainly not the hatred towards the evil inclination and the anything that is the antithesis of serving Hashem. Even if it's kosher, but if it's not thought about and approached in the right way, then the tzaddik absolutely despises it. Okay, that's why it says, fine, maybe you didn't fulfill the first part of the promise, but at any rate, you shouldn't be a rasha. Even if a person is not privileged to become a tzaddik, you should at the very least not be a rasha instead of the level of Beinoni that we talked about for the last number of days. With this regard, the right of choice and freedom is extended to every single person. You have the choice. You come in the morning, you could either be miserable because there's plenty to be miserable about, or you could say, okay, water's a sign of blessing. We're going to get a lot of blessing today, folks. That's what all the weather people predict. So instead of looking at it like, oh, what's going to happen, this and that, when we get there. But for right now, we're going to enjoy the day. We're going to daven. We're going to learn. And then when the rain comes, we're going to look at it as a sign of blessing. And then we'll handle it. Every person can do that. By the way, this is one of the things. People get sluggish and miserable and angry and upset. Why? Find the good in everything. Right, Yitzchak? That's it, exactly. You have the spirit to control, or you can control the spirit of lust in your heart to conquer your nature, so that you should not be wicked even a moment throughout your life. We're coming up to a good one, Adam. Hold your horses just 1 minute. Whether we're looking at sur meira, which is staying away from evil, or asay toiv, you have the power to do the right thing. And really, if you break it down, there's nothing really good unless it's coming from the Torah. As we know, meaning the study of Torah, which balances, meaning is equal to all the other mitzvahs combined. Very powerful stuff. We all have the power to do it. The question is whether we are going to do it or not, whether we have the strength and the willpower to fulfill what we already know we're supposed to do. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to state, we're on page 72. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to state that everyone should strive to emulate the tzaddik service of Hashem. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, why a tzaddik can be jealous. We're never going to reach the level of a tzaddik. It's not fair. That's okay. We need the tzaddik to know how to act. And we watch the tzaddik, the way they daven, the way they learn, the way they conduct themselves, even the way they eat, the way they walk, the way they encounter and interact with others. Now we know how to act. So, although we may never actually reach the rank of tzaddik, specifically one should train himself to loathe worldly pleasures. So this is the next step. Last week we learned and we practiced how to control our thoughts. And today we're going to train ourselves how to push. We're going to start with Sumerah, how to push aside worldly pleasures and awaken. And then the next step is to awaken within ourselves the delight and the love of Hashem, which is accomplished through reflecting deeply on the greatness of Hashem. And then we fulfill the charge of be a tzaddik to the best of our ability. First, it's be a tzaddik, and don't be a rasha. And then maybe we're not a full-on tzaddik, but we are certainly acting and striving to be a tzaddik if we follow these instructions. Just as we have to set aside time for learning, not every person can loathe evil and attain the love of delights like a tzaddik. Love of delights meaning the love and Torah and Hashem. Yet one must set aside time to seek for himself means of being disgusted with evil, meaning loathing worldly pleasures. For example, Kagoin, for example, lustful thoughts about women that we shouldn't have in our mind. We push them out and say we shouldn't be disgusted by this. Okay, you're coming across, you're looking through your Facebook feed, and you're like, this is not something I should be looking at, and it makes me upset. Okay? So too, to a lesser degree, gluttony, by reflecting that all delicacies similarly become vessels full of waste. If it's not Shabbos and you're not hungry and you're walking by, let's say you're in aisle 1 and you're going shopping, don't stop by the delicious cheesecake and just start getting, so chalishing and then, I gotta taste one of those. No, you don't. You're shopping now. Get what you need for Shabbos. And if you want, there's ready-made sandwiches, and you'll eat and you'll drink and you'll go. Once in a while, it gives you a little energy to have a cookie or whatever, but to have all the extra stuff, which your doctor said you shouldn't, and it gives you heartburn and all the other things, and you just can't control yourself. Work on feeling disgusted by that before you do it. Okay? All pleasure of the world. Anything that gives you pleasure, don't forget it's a moment. Oh, you eat that ice cream. Moment later, you're like, personally, I cannot eat dairy ice cream. I get sick. I have a very bad reaction to it. My kids know. Very lactose intolerant. So I don't have the taiva to eat milchik ice cream. I do, I'd like to, but I know how sick I get. But imagine you're going to be God sick if you eat it. Why? Because it brings you... I do like tofu ice cream. But anyways, the point is that it's a moment. You don't live with that. If you learn something, it becomes a part of you forever. Learn a shtickle Torah, something like that. Look, these things are not easy to do, but you got to start somewhere. So all the pleasures of the world, the wise man foresees what becomes of them. They ultimately rot and become worms and refuse. Refuse? Refuse. You discard, they become waste. and they go out and that's it. In this way, one cultivates an abhorrence of worldly pleasure. What becomes of this thing that I eat? It's not there. It's not like nutrition and protein and things that I need within my body. My body discards them because that's what it is, disgusting. So you got to train yourself to think the things that coming to minyan, learning, davening, doing a mitzvah, those are the things that bring me true delight. Nachas from your children, your grandchildren, your friends, family. Call a friend up today. Menachem, how you doing? We haven't seen you in a while. Just want to say hello. If you're not feeling well, I want to wish you well. Okay. Who's thought of doing that? Menachem hasn't been here in almost a month. Maybe more. Well, we don't know because we haven't called him recently. So it's a problem. I've spoken to him. So now, v'heipech lisanig l'smayach b'Hashem. L'smayach b'Hashem, Yitzchak. You walk in the morning and you embrace your friend and you say, it's great to see you. And you go into davening with simcha v'tuv levav. You're glad, you're excited. You're excited to rejoice and serving Hashem. Al yidei yispeinanus b'gdulas ein seif baruch hu k'fi yecholtei. By the way, don't you feel so much better? I was thinking about this today. Don't you feel so much better? Yitzchak, back me up here. You come in, if you're not in a good mood, your shoulders are slumped, you're like, I really don't want to get up today. And then you daven because you feel like you have to do this and that, and then you leave. Or you come in and you go, I know, I didn't want to get up, but I'm here. It's great to see everyone. You put a smile, you say, good morning, let's go. Wait. What? Buy the cheesecake, bring it to Shul. Say l'chaim, have a fabrengen, have a little bite of cheesecake after Tehillim in the morning. Let's go. You feel so much better about yourself. But you're not doing it because you feel selfish. You're in a shul, you're davening to Hashem. And if that's the focus, practice that. Practice that feeling of delighting in Hashem and His mitzvahs and His Torah. It's a wonderful thing. I'm telling you, it'll transfer your whole mood and you're going to feel so much better about life. So the Alter Rebbe writes, here's the little explanation. You'll fancy that you truly abhor evil and delight in Hashem. So why then should he exert himself merely to produce a fantasy, especially in the service of Hashem, where sincerity is essential? Again, the Alter Rebbe is almost telling us, fake it till you make it. Just keep pushing through, keep fighting through. Saying, if that's the case, shouldn't we do it sincerely? Of course. If you can, of course. But if you can't, just keep practicing over and over and over. And eventually it'll wear down and it'll become part of you. And then you're going to always feel happy. You're like, I thought I wasn't even doing this for the right reasons, but hey, it makes me feel good. Right? Take it till you make it. Nevertheless, es shaloi lekayim es hashavua shemashpi inti tzadik. He has to do his part. If somebody says, you got to return the money, it doesn't mean you have to do it with a smile. You got to do it anyway, whatever it is, right? If you make a promise to somebody, you're going to do something, whether you're doing it happily or not, you got to do it. So if you promise not to be a Rasha and you're going to try to do the right thing every single day, you got to do it, whether you like it or not. We don't care what your thoughts are. Well, of course, if you could have the right kavana, it's going to be easier. You're going to enjoy doing it, but you got to do it. Starting point is you got to do it. The main thing is that you get the job done. Hashem yasa taybeino. And Hashem, if you put in the effort, Hashem will do as He sees fit, whether to grant him the level of tzaddik or not. It's like we said, at the end of last week, chazak v'nis chazek. If you're strong, then Hashem will give you strength. So you have to start by putting in the effort, and then Hashem will help you from there. But furthermore, emulating the tzaddik, just copy the tzaddik. Do as the tzaddik does. Say what the tzaddik says. Do exactly how he thinks. When you emulate the tzaddik in loathing evil and delighting in Hashem, it produces another benefit to the Beinoni. V'hergel al kol davar shiltein v'nase teva sheni. The habit becomes second nature. Right? Now, it's automatic. Whether you're going to say a bracha before you eat. It's not like, let me think about it. It's just automatic. You wash your hands in the morning. You say Maidani, the first thing you do when you wake up. Habit becomes second nature. Now you can start working on the kavana. Once you work on the kavana, you can work on doing the love for the right reasons, everything else. So if he's doing it automatically every day like a habit, soon it's going to become regular. There's going to be truth to it. You can't do it every single day and fake it for the rest of your life. Eventually, it's going to penetrate and become meaningful to him. When he accustoms himself to rejoice in Hashem, through reflecting on the greatness of God. When we do our part, Hashem will reciprocate and do his part. After all this, a spirit of ruach will descend upon him. Suddenly he's going to have extra money. He's like, I don't know where that came from, but I've been doing my part. Now you see that Hashem helps you do the next step. It's unbelievable. It'll be granted to him that the soul level of ruach, originating in the soul of some tzaddik, will be impregnated in him so that he may serve God with true joy. Suddenly, a little bit of tzaddik comes down into him, and now all of this that he was just struggling just to do the basics, now he feels a true sense of joy and pleasure in serving Hashem. So Kabbalah speaks of, I wish Chad was here. Yesterday he was asking me whether we learn Kabbalah or what's the deal with Kabbalah. I said, it's all based on Kabbalah. So Kabbalah speaks of the soul of a tzaddik impregnating another soul with its faculties so that the latter may serve God as the tzaddik does. And that's why we cleave to tzaddik. And that's why we are close to tzaddik as much as we can. The tzaddik gives us a little bit of his soul. This concept is somewhat akin to Gilgul. How would you translate Gilgul? Transmigration, where a soul is attached to some object or animal or another human being, except that in the case of Gilgul, the soul is chained to and dominated by the body to which it attaches, whereas in the case of impregnation, it's not. The soul of the tzaddik serves merely as an additional spiritual charge for the soul of the recipient, says the Kabbalah. In our context, the impregnation of the Beinani soul with the ruach originating in the tzaddik soul enables the Beinani to experience a delight in Hashem that he could not attain on his own. And this, my friends, is the reason why we have a Rebbe, and we do our part as much as we possibly can. But when we learn the Rebbe's teachings and when we go to the oil, we get a little bit of energy that he helps us in our service of Hashem. Simchu tzadikim b'Hashem, as the pasuk says, rejoice o tzadikim in God. This alludes also to the idea that when two types of tzadikim are joined together, the pasuk addresses tzadikim in the plural form. When the Beinani is called a low-level tzaddik, is impregnated with the soul of a tzaddik, a higher level of tzaddik, and they both rejoice in God. For the tzaddik imparts his delight and godliness to the Beinani, who's at least outwardly striving to act, think, and speak like a tzaddik. And in this way, he's not lying. He fulfills his obligation and that swear that he promised he's going to act like a tzaddik, because now he has a little bit of tzaddik in him. So maybe he doesn't reach the level of a tzaddik, but he has a little bit of the tzaddik soul inside of him that he could attain that level and fulfill his promise, which will truly be fulfilled. So the takeaway for today, Chavra, it's unbelievable. All that God expects of you is to control what's in your power to control. Be you. Don't be somebody else. And don't expect, but you can fight it and you could push away evil and be disgusted by it. That's not for me. I shouldn't think that. I should look at that. I shouldn't come near that. It should disgust me. Even if I have to fake it or pretend. And when I come to shul, I shouldn't just go, I just feel guilty if I don't come to shul. Somebody schlepped me to make a minyan. You know what? I'm here already. Let me make the best of it. I'm happy. I'm enjoying every word. It's fun. The Torah comes out. It's beautiful. Even if you don't really feel it. Fake it till you make it. Doc, remember we saw that video of just make that smile, even if it's fake. It triggers all sorts of things that happen, and your body and your brain thinks that you're really in a happy mood. So fake it. And then we do it. And we act. We do acts of goodness. We don't act in an evil manner. And we take time out to think of pushing away the evil, bringing the good in, delighting in Hashem and His Torah and mitzvahs. And from there, the habit becomes second nature. And when that happens, we get a little bit of the tzaddik that we connect to inside of us, looking to him as how to act, how to be. So we emulate the tzaddik, and the tzaddik that we connect to becomes a little bit a part of us. And then, as we said, chazak, chazak, we do our part as hard as we can. We fight through that struggle and that challenge. And v'nis chazek, Hashem showers us with blessing. And then that's the point that we can experience some true delight in Torah Emes and the mitzvahs that we do in Hashem. Unbelievable stuff. Thank you, guys.